You ever hear about the ninth island? Yeah, that was a new one for me too. That is where my next guest got married. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. Got a few things to talk about beforehand. First of all, our supporter, liverishi.com. Years ago, I jumped on this CBD oil train and have been enjoying it ever since. What their little tagline is, relax and relief. It is organic and local. And I tell you what, I'm a big believer in a good night's sleep will cure what ails you. And you think you sleep good now? Try some of this. I use the tincture oil and got a new batch coming. Excited for that. So jump over to liverishi.com, use the code word table at checkout, and be pleasantly surprised how much love we're throwing your way. Other big news, the table is on the tube. Yep, YouTube. You can find Walt's Kitchen Table. Just key it in. It'll pop right up. Also on Stitcher and Spotify under the same name, Walt's Kitchen Table. And jump over, show some love, hit the subscribe button under my smiling face, and follow, share, all that good stuff. So, on to the show. Welcome to Walt's Kitchen Table, where I feature captivating stories from fascinating people. Today's guest, Tom Dheere. He's a professional voiceover artist, and his tagline is really cool. He spells his last name Dheere, D-H-E-E-R-E, and his little tagline is, the H is silent, but I am not. I love that. That's pretty cool. So a lot of things crazy things we talk about, making bricks on the moon, the Freemasons, how about a sneezing fetish, and his story about answering an ad on Gig Salad about being a college professor. That is some pretty crazy stuff. So let's get to it. We're simple.
Very easy editing tool. Nice.
And like I said, I don't edit these.
Okay.
So you're a professional.
Professional what?
Well, what do they say? If you do something for 30 years, you're a professional?
Yeah, I don't remember it. I don't, but I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about.
I think it was Eddie Murphy's like, well, shit, I'm a professional at masturbating. That's okay.
I would have a doctorate. No.
Doctor. Tenure, right? Well, thanks for coming out. You said Brooklyn, right?
Manhattan. I'm in Manhattan now, but Jersey most of my life.
So you mentioned something about your studio apartment, but you called it a 0-bedroom.
Yes, I call it a 0-bedroom apartment. Yeah,
that's so. But it physically has a bed.
Of course,
it has a bed and all that.
No, it's got everything. It's kind of it's basically shaped like a giant U. So you walk in, and then there's like a closet, which I've treated, so that's where I record, and then a teeny kitchen. Then we got a living room space, a dining room space, and then you go around the corner. The bed's right there. You turn that corner, then there's a hallway, closet, bathroom at the end.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of it's segmented.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
it's a nice space. It's right across from the B&H, the audio video store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And my friends are like, how can you live there and not spend all your money? I'm like, I'm not a technophile.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a whopping 2 microphones. I have the one I use, and then I have my backup in case something horrible happens to the one I use regularly. But yeah, I mean, I was in there yesterday to get some like memory, but like, no, I don't like drool. I don't drool there. So no, my focus is on other non-technically things.
Yeah, you got your set gear, and that's good. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't need to. Well, I guess you can improve.
You can never spend too much money on your on your setup, but yeah, right. But no, I have what I need. It works great. You know, I do all different kinds of stuff, and the sound quality is always fine. I haven't had a complaint about sound quality in years.
What do you record into?
Adobe Audition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've got a Sennheiser 416 microphone, which is a shotgun mic, which is a very popular one, and then I've got this XLR cable. It runs out of the studio, and then there's a little sound interface called a Steinberg UR12, which is just a really basic box. It is just plugged in, USB out of the back, which goes into my desktop computer. That's my whole signal chain. That's it.
That's pretty
simple.
Similar to mine.
Yeah. That's pretty bare bones.
And for people listening, Tell us what you do.
Oh, that may help.
Yeah, you're talking about all this audio equipment.
Yeah, I am a voice actor, full-time voice actor.
When'd you start doing that?
I did my first voiceover in 1996. It was a public service announcement for genital herpes awareness.
Oh man, you can't make that up.
Honey, I'm home. I was just at the doctor. Doctor, what's wrong? Well, remember that jock itch I told you about? It wasn't jock itch. It was genital herpes.
That's the line?
That was my first voiceover.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Remember that jock itch?
How can I forget
Are
that?
you kidding? That's funny. Dude.
Yeah, and the tagline, it wasn't my line, but it was herpes. Don't let it rock your world. Get the facts. Yeah.
Don't let it rot? Or
rock. Don't let it rot.
Okay.
Well, that's probably, don't let it rot your world. I like that better.
Yeah,
don't let it rock
wondering.
your world.
Ha!
Yeah.
So do you have like a certain genre or a certain thing that you tend to...
I do a lot of everything. The vast majority of the work I do is e-learning. So I do a lot of English as a second language stuff. I only speak one language, English, and not particularly well. But I'm always playing
Says
like
a voiceover,
right? But I always play like the young college student or stuff like that. Where I'll do a lot of stuff where I'll like read lists of words. I'll say like will not, won't, cannot, can't.
Okay.
Or there'll be a pretend conversation about, hey, how do you like the sweater I'm wearing? I don't know. It's kind of hot out. What does the man imply? Stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So It's not just translation. It's like, it's not what they're saying, but it's like why they're saying it. So
Right, yeah.
I've been doing that stuff for like 20 something years, but I do audiobooks.
we were just talking about...
Yeah, we were just talking about that with Val before we started. My first audiobook was Danielle Steele. I know. And I was terrible because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But yeah, I did a Danielle Steele novel, and I've done like 50 or 60 different books since then. And
so on the books though,
yeah,
I didn't know, so I'm going to assume that a lot of people don't know
Mm-hmm.
how much work goes into reading a damn... I love Audible.
Yeah.
And my saying is there's life before and after Audible. Because Audible, if you're on the road or
Yep.
even around like... Val will sit at the table putting her puzzle together, listening to a book, right? So there's obviously other places than driving on the road than you listen to it.
Sure.
So it's just crazy how popular that is.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Yeah, and I love doing it because I'm a theater trained actor. So actually, I went to Montclair State in this town. I got my theater training up the road. So I'm a theater actor by heart. I'm a storyteller by heart. So when I get a chance to do an audiobook, that's when I get to really, I love every voiceover that I do. I mean, I don't care if I'm doing something about, ankylosing spondylitis or,
Can you spell that?
No, or, updating your dental benefits for the next work year at some, I do all kinds of stuff and I love everything that I do. But when I get to do audiobooks, I get to really act. I get to dig in.
Okay, so are you the one that reads it? Like I always sample it, and if it's even for fiction, it's like, so he went to the police office,
Yeah.
or and it's like, you're like, oh, dude, put some emotion into it, and then you have people that do other voices and put. What's that? Inflection in it?
Inflections.
So up and down. And
Yeah.
You can read the emotion, and those are amazing.
Yeah, and there are some incredibly talented, award-winning narrators that are out there that are just doing amazing things. So yeah, I do sci-fi. I do a lot of sci-fi.
Oh, what's the last sci-fi one you did, or one of your favorite?
My favorite one was The Man Who Sold the Moon by Cory Doctorow.
What's that about?
Oh boy. It takes place just a year or two in the future, and a guy with a newfound friend goes to the Burning Man thing in the desert once a year, and he built this 3D printer, and this 3D printer is basically on the back of like a walking robot with solar panels and stuff, and basically what it does is it sucks up desert sand, and it basically poops out these bricks. So you could eventually like build like an igloo or like a yurt, but it made with like, condensed sand. Okay. And the idea they had is they want to shoot one of these to the moon. and have one of these things wander around for years and years and years and
Shitting
start
out bricks.
pooping out bricks. So when we go to Moon to colonize, all we do is just like snap them together like Legos, and we've got our buildings and structures.
Wow.
But what it's really about is his friend who is helping them. He gets cancer, and he's like, "What do you want to do? What do you want your legacy to be?" And he's like, "I want to make this thing. I want to do like a Kickstarter thing, and I want this thing to go to the moon." And he passes away before it happens. But decades later, they finally shoot one up to the moon. It doesn't work. They shoot another one up to the moon, and it finally does work. So he's able to kind of live on through the creation that he made. That's going to help other people.
Yeah.
So.
That's kind of cool.
It's one of the only 2 books that I ever narrated that made me cry while I was narrating.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, do you keep that in, or do you?
I think we kept it in. I mean, if it gets a little unintelligible when you're like narrating, like when you're doing the dialogue. I mean, if the character's crying, you can get a little weepy. But if it's like, and then the guy went to the thing and he did, then it's like, all right, let's we got to punch and roll that. Cut. All right, take it back to paragraph 3. So we couldn't do that. But.
Now, do they try to keep a format like? Obviously, it's a business, right? So if the book is 1,000 pages, okay, we need to have X amount of pages per hour read, and they got to keep like on a schedule, right? I mean, it would just be like a movie or anything,
right?
Like producing.
Okay, so all right, so now we get to do some math.
Oh boy!
All right, so
I do country boy math.
All right, so I've got my phone here, so I'm going to do some math here.
Hey, here's to the teachers that said you'll never carry a calculator in your pocket,
and we all have calculators in our pocket. So you said 1,000-page book, right?
Yep.
So a 1,000-page book has roughly 250 words per page.
Okay.
Roughly. So it's 250,000.
I'm going to take your word for that.
All right. So that's the word. Let's say that's the word count. So you take that and you divide it by 9,300.
Where'd you get 9,300?
Someone told me.
But what's that represent, though?
If you divide that by 9,300, now you find out how many finished hours the book is going to be. So a 1,000-page book is going to be roughly 27 finished hours. So,
oh, shit.
Yeah, so Audible and all the publishing companies, they have formulas like this, so they figure out, well, based on the word count, not as much the page count, because the font could be a different size.
Yeah, sure.
But based on the word count, they know roughly how long it's going to take to record the book.
And this is how much it costs per hour to record,
yes.
yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, so how it works is it's roughly a 2-to-1 ratio. So if this is a 27-hour audiobook, finished hours, then it's going to take roughly double that time to narrate it. So 27 doubled, roughly 54 studio hours of you sitting in the booth narrating it. And then it takes roughly another double that, another 54 hours to edit the book. So yeah, so it takes a while. Now there's narrators and editors that are faster than that, and it also depends on the type of book. Right, I mean, there's some books I've narrated where I'm like 1.5 to 1 as opposed to 2 to 1, and there's editors out there who can get closer to 1.5 to 1. But you want to kind of have an expectation of roughly 2 to 1 hours to record, 2 to 1 hours to narrate. So yeah, it is literally a production.
Yeah. Now with Audible, because you said 2 books with Audible?
I narrated 2 books in the actual Audible studio,
and that's in Newark.
In Newark, yeah.
In Newark, They got a pretty nice place over there.
They have a lovely place over there, and I think what do they call it? Subsidized cafeteria. So it's free food. So you get a free lunch, the ping pong tables. The studios are gorgeous. Everybody is really, really nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I narrated 2 books there. I narrated Freemasons for Dummies. Which is a fascinating book, which is actually written by a member of the Freemasons to try to just explain it to the layman, and he was very humorous and being like,
is that a recruiting tool?
Well, okay, so funny you mentioned that. He used it. I mean, Christopher Hodup, I think was his name, and he did a great job writing the book. And I don't know if he was using it explicitly as a recruiting tool, but it was sort of like, let's clear up some misconceptions and about all the mysteries and all the weirdness that goes on. But he doesn't tell you what like goes on inside what's going on, because it's a society. It's sounding secret society sounds sinister, but that's really not the case.
And they're old, right? I mean,
hundreds of years
old.
Hundreds and hundreds of years old, and at least a dozen presidents have been Freemasons.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, so just like 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you know, I produced a comic book.
Now you drew it,
I produce. I'm one of the co-creators. So we have 4 issues of a comic book out. So me and my partner, we went to Baltimore Comic-Con. We had a table there, and we promote the comic book. And as we're sitting there, you get to see thousands of people. They're dressed in crazy costumes and really interesting things. And this older couple, the guy was wearing a T-shirt, and it had like a Star Wars thing on it, but in the front of it had a compass. Like a writing compass, a drawing compass, and the two ends of it were lightsabers, and it said, "May the light be with you," instead of "May the force be with you." And I looked at the shirt, and I said to my partner, I'm like, "Dude, I think he's a Freemason." And he's like, "Oh, really?" So he walked over, and my partner's like, "Hey, I really like your shirt." And I said, "Yeah, it's a fascinating shirt." I said, "Are you a Freemason?" And then the gentleman asked me a question. And I knew instantly that that's the question that Freemasons ask other Freemasons.
To see if you know the answer.
To see if they know who they
are.
Is
that kind of like, are you friends with Bill?
Something like that.
Something like that.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
So I said, "No, sir, actually, I narrated the book Freemasons for Dummies." And he said, "Every time I recruit a new member, I give him a copy of that book."
And then...
So it's just this bizarre,
Encounter, huh?
Encounters, what's the word? What's the word when, it's something that's, the odds of it is, the odds of it happening, and it's like, now, well, I know I'm going to be up for the rest of the night.
No,
it's that John Cusack movie where him and Kate Beckinsale, Serendipity. Oh, thank God. Oh my God.
That would have drove you nuts.
That would have been, it was driving me nuts.
Hey, so. I learned a new word over the weekend.
What'd you learn?
Tintinnabulation.
Tintinnabulation?
Yeah, do you know what that is?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's the actual sound a bell makes when you ring it.
Oh, because you tintintabulate. It tintintabulates.
Yeah, so
yes.
So a guy in the group goes, "The Hunchback of Notre Dame is a tintinnabulator."
Yes, which sounds a little dirty.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say .com or www.
You're right.
But my favorite word is I always.
That's a good word.
Yeah. I
use it all the time.
Penultimate.
Penultimate, as in the second to last.
Yeah, I love penultimate.
That's a very good word. Yeah. I use that in my coaching.
Do you really?
Yes.
In what context?
Well, well, in addition to being a full-time voice talent and a comic book producer, I also am a voiceover coach. So, but I do very specific things. I coach coach business and marketing. That's over here. And then I also coach e-learning and e-learning narration for students who want to learn how to be an e-learning narrator. Because you could be a video game guy, or audiobooks.
I guess that would be a certain.
It's a very specific skill set,
right? Yeah.
I tell the students it's a very specific set of muscle group to be able to do e-learning narration effectively. So one thing I talk about a lot is how do you do lists? And you've heard your whole life that you hear 1, 2, 3, and 2 is the penultimate. So when you hear 2, the last thing is coming. 3, apples, bananas, oranges. So I always talk about when doing bullet points and lists, and be aware of the penultimate and be aware of your inflections. Are you using upward inflections or downward inflections or circumflex inflections, stuff like that.
When you're looking for the penultimate, that means to maintain your, as a voiceover, see if I can explain this. If you say 1, 2, 3, you know that you have one more to maintain the cadence in the...
Right.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
So what'd you get at the grocery store? Well, I got bread, I got milk, and I got rutabagas. So when I said milk, the next thing that's coming is the last thing. And
then that... You being the student, knowing that, again, you can keep the cadence and know that it's...
Right.
Instead of being like bread, milk, and...
But here's the thing about that, is that when you're doing academic stuff, so let's say I'm saying, like I was saying earlier, will not, won't, cannot, can't. You can't give those a relationship to each other. They each have to have, the same value. So I can't say will not, won't, cannot, can't, unless it's for unless you're teaching 5-year-olds. You would say will not, won't, cannot, can't, do not, don't. Because
that's an e-learning.
That's an e-learning thing, but it's also, when the student is listening to the stuff, they may not be listening to it in that order, because a lot of time they do audio flashcards. Yeah. So even though I'm narrating it in that order, the student isn't necessarily consuming the content in that order. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So just little things like that. So yes, I use the word penultimate all the time.
That's awesome. And then the other one is happenstance.
Happenstance, yes, that's a good
fun one.
That makes you sound like you're almost British, but you're really not.
Yeah. Or, you remember Jeff Foxworthy? The
Oh, very
comedian?
much so. You might be a redneck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like his word of sensuous.
Yeah.
Sensuous up. Give me a beer.
Nice.
Redneck.
Nice. I love him because the only thing I remember offhand is he was doing this whole thing about how women are better than men and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and, you know, you can
I remember
outsmart them. All the women are like, woohoo! And she's like, you are aware that the group of people that I'm talking about that you're outsmarting are the people that when they take off their underwear, they grab it by their toes, try to throw it in the air and catch it. And they're like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
and the guys are like,
yeah. Man, he had a successful career.
yeah, he had a good run. He's still doing this and that. I haven't seen him lately.
Yeah.
But,
somebody was on a podcast and they were talking about him, and they said that he's like full time with his kids and his family, and
good for him.
yeah, and lives like on this huge estate, but drives his kids to school every day, and
Doing the daddy thing.
Yeah,
good for him, man. You know, he probably earned a skajillion dollars,
Yeah.
and now he's going to enjoy it. And you know what? He's probably writing material. He'll go back on the road at some point. He'll do a tour. Maybe they'll do the blue collar comedy tour again. Reunite with Larry the cable guy, and was it Bill White and Ron White and the other guy.
Bill Engvall.
Bill Engvall. Yeah, those guys are awesome.
One of his best lines ever, Bill Engvall. He goes, what do you say? Oh, 3 things a man needs and wants: sex, sleep, and food. And he goes, and I can do those all by myself, in my truck, in traffic.
Oh, that's multitasking.
I just thought that his little skit like that was pretty funny.
Nice. Yeah.
You just got married.
I did just get married.
Woo. Around here?
Vegas.
Oh,
yes.
My first marriage was in Vegas.
Yeah?
Where'd you get married in Vegas?
We got married on the Ferris wheel, the high roller.
No shit.
Yep.
So like you got on it and
Yep.
so like the ceremony was like one
Yep.
loop?
That's exactly
what's
right.
one loop? An hour? 40?
Half hour.
Oh, is it half an hour?
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How the hell did you ever come up with that?
That was her idea. My wife is
That's a small wedding party then.
Yeah. Well, if the cab fits 40, the place is, the thing is huge, but we had like 15 or 16 people, just immediate family and a couple of friends. So it was very small.
Elvis?
No, she wouldn't let me. I'm like, can I dress as Elvis? No. Can I bring Elvis? No.
So I asked the guy that married us.
Yeah.
I said, hey man, what's this deal with Elvis? You know? Mm-hmm. Or any performer, right? But of course, Elvis is the big one. Mm-hmm. He says, technically, by law, Elvis can't marry you.
Oh.
What you see is Elvis going, hey, you're married, you.
Right.
He goes, but what you don't see is, as soon as Elvis is done with doing his thing, somebody like me sweeps in and goes, by the power of the state of Nevada, you are now married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you don't see that part.
They're not ordained or whatever you call it.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
A friend of mine got married. When he got married in Vegas, they had 4 Elvis impersonators presiding over the wedding as witnesses.
What?
And my friend dressed up too. And you'll take this woman? Uh-huh.
Now, is he just an Elvis fan, or is that just something?
He just loves Elvis. He's like, let's do this. So they did it.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So the Ferris, I call it Ferris wheel. What do they call it?
It's called the high roller.
Yeah. Right. So you all pile in the car.
Yeah.
And you go around, and by the time you come around, you're married.
Yeah. Well, what's nice is you rent space, you rent the cab, but you can also, for an additional fee, rent an officiant. So the high roller has officiants on staff. And we had
only in Vegas.
We had a super nice lady, and she's like, do you have vows? She's like, nah. And she's like, what do you want me to say? We're like, say whatever you want. We don't care.
Super laid back.
Yeah, super laid back. The only thing I remember from the vows is that I promised to remember our wedding anniversary. That's the only thing I remember from the vows. I was too busy looking at my bride.
Yeah, I'm mad at you for that.
Yeah, no. We had an amazing time. So I was saying, my wife is she hates it when I say it this way. She's a high-end floral designer, like $1 million weddings. She does like crazy expensive
Well, how'd you guys
weddings.
meet?
Okay, Cupid.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
So I was going to say, you swiped right?
No, that's Tinder.
Yeah, but
It may have been on my phone. I don't remember. But yeah, we met on OkCupid. But so she does weddings every Saturday. She's working a wedding.
Of course.
So the last thing that she wanted was something conventional.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Vegas was her idea. We didn't want it. We didn't want it in a banquet facility. We didn't want it in a church or a temple or a mosque or anything. We wanted it, non-religious. And she's like, let's do it in Vegas. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it in Vegas. Now, here's the other thing is that my wife was born and raised in Hawaii. So...
is she actually Hawaiian?
No, red hair, blue eyes.
Okay.
Her parents were teachers from Wisconsin, and in the 70s they decided let's teach. They got offered jobs in Hawaii to teach. So let's try it for a couple of years, and then we'll come home. And that was like 45 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
So if you live around here in the New York metropolitan area, you know that like the major like basic destination for vacations is Florida.
Yep.
If you live in Hawaii,
Vegas.
Exactly, it's Vegas. They call it the Ninth Island.
So Hawaiians call Vegas the Ninth Island?
Not only did they call it the Ninth Island, so we were just on our honeymoon a couple of weeks ago in Maui, and we were watching.
We got to talk about that.
We'll talk about that too, because I know you love Maui. When we were watching the news, they have the Ninth Island report as part of the news.
Get the fuck out of here.
Here's the weather. Here's what's going on in Vegas. Yeah, so that's how much the Hawaiian folks love to go to Vegas. And
well, they like gambling, I imagine.
I guess
too.
they do. I guess they do. So
yeah, imagine the flights and stuff are just cheap.
There's
and
a
they
lot of
probably
flights.
get all sorts of
a lot of
things.
flights from Vegas to.
So now, did you guys go right? How much time you spend in Vegas?
Well, we got married in January, so this was a while
I
ago.
see. Okay.
So we were in Vegas from a Sunday to a Saturday.
Where'd you stay?
We stayed at the Link.
I haven't been there.
It's really nice. It's and it's on the promenade, and at the end of the promenade is the high roller, the Ferris wheel. So we were like right there, and across the street is Caesar's Palace.
Yep.
So, we flew in with my best friend and his wife, and my best friend's wife's parents live in Vegas. So they stayed there for a couple of days, and then our family started trickling in, and then we had the wedding on Thursday, and then we all had brunch on Friday, and then my wife and I left on Saturday. So yeah, we were there for basically a week, and it was amazing.
You guys gamblers?
I am now.
Oh, what's your poison?
Slots. We enjoy the slots. She taught me how to play slots. She's very lucky. There's a joke in there somewhere about our marriage, but it was really narcissistic, so I'm not going to go there.
Yep. I get it.
But she taught me how to do that. And then my best friend, who came too, he's not a big gambler either. But one night he taught himself how to play craps, and the next night he's like, "I'm teaching you to play craps. We're doing this. This is awesome." And I won like $250, and he won like $1,000 that night. We just had the greatest time. It was so much fun.
Addicted.
Yeah, I don't have an addictive personality, but it's fun as heck.
Yeah,
So now that we've kind of got that, we've been to AC a couple times, Atlantic City, which I'd never been. Neither of us had been to before, and now we love it because, it's like 2 hours from here.
So I got it. I just spent the weekend at Atlantic City.
Oh, cool.
My best friend came out from Colorado. We had it planned for a while. He comes out to New York like once a year for work. He's a CPA.
Okay.
Partner in a firm and stuff. And he comes out for this like mastermind peer group.
Oh, cool.
And it's always Monday, Tuesday. So this year he came out first thing Saturday morning. I picked him up at the airport in Newark. We just went down there, gambled all day.
Nice.
Spent the night, gambled a little bit more, and he came back.
Where'd you stay?
It's like the Clareton or something like that. It's right next to Bailey's.
Oh, so it's in the Bay.
Yeah, and it's the guy said is 92 years old. Straight up gangster hotel back in the day. Oh, It was amazing. The decor.
Yeah.
Obviously the rooms and stuff have been renovated and but they left the lobby and like the molding and everything that. Oh my God, it was super cool.
Oh, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
We always stay on the ocean side, so we stayed at the resorts one time, and then the last time we stayed at Ocean, and we love Ocean.
Yeah,
Ocean's
people
gorgeous.
say is beautiful.
Yeah, so we're toying with going there for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So a good buddy of mine and I think about this. Well, I thought about it over the weekend because we were in Atlantic City. We were talking about Vegas, Atlantic City, and Rio one time. Ooh. And he goes, the best way I can describe these cities is Vegas is a young woman, all well put together, gorgeous. And Rio is her older sister, been around a while, tattoos a little faded, smokes, has a raspy voice now.
Okay.
And he said that, and I was like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see that.
Sure, okay.
And I go, in Atlantic City's their mom.
Wow. That's quite the analogy there.
Yeah, Atlantic City is, well, if you're used to going to something like Vegas, obviously, there's just more money flying around.
There is.
So,
but you know what? Atlantic City, the boardwalk is really, really nice. You go a block or two inland, it gets a little interesting.
Yeah.
But the like the strip itself on the ocean, we haven't been to the bay yet. We may try the bay just for fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like going down there, and obviously they have shows and all the food and everything else. And I'm a poker player, so obviously there's a ton of that.
Oh yeah, there's no lack of that.
Yeah, but no, I mean, and it's close. So, well, good luck down there.
Thank you. We'll see how that goes.
So then you went to Maui.
Right. We went to Maui just a few weeks ago. So yeah, there's a huge gap between the honeymoon and the
people do that nowadays.
Yeah,
anyway.
well, just logistically and time wise and
money,
and and when's our busy months, because voiceovers has busy and slow.
So there's actually season for voiceover.
There's
work?
seasons for voiceover and there's season for flowers.
Of course, for flowers, yeah.
But there's season for voiceovers. Some months are slower than others. Also, it depends on the type of work that you do. Like if you do a lot of political spots, there's a season for that. If you do a lot of commercials for like holidays, Christmas, Halloween, whatever, there's seasons for that too.
Yep.
That sort of thing. And I've just noticed after 20 years of doing this, I know which ones are easier, which ones are a little easier to get away. But the joke in our circles is that if you go away, you immediately start getting phone calls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we were at my honeymoon in Maui, and I booked a national TV spot.
Yeah, because you answered my email while you were in Maui.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess you got to keep up on that. If
Well,
that's
yeah,
your business,
I brought my travel rig and stuff, so I could do auditions, or like if a small project comes along that probably won't need retakes because I'm literally doing it in the closet of our hotel.
Sure.
But for this one, I needed to rent a studio, so I'd already lined it up. I'd figured out, because we got there on a Saturday in Maui, and then that Monday I get an email. Hi, I found you on Google. I've got this national TV spot. I'm auditioning and I'd like you to submit for it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I submitted for it. I auditioned. Great. A couple days later, I follow up. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I submitted 3 of you. The end client picked one of the other 2 guys. I'm like, okay, no big deal. This happens all the time. Auditioning is part of the game.
Sure.
So the following Friday, but what I did to prepare for that was I called around and looked for studios in Maui, and I found 2 that would be serviceable. So I was like, okay, great. So I had that in my back pocket. Friday morning, I check my messages, and the client's like, yeah, so you did get the spot. And so I immediately called her. I'm like, what happened? She's like, well, I made you like ABC. One of you's A, one's B, one's C. And the client says, oh, I want A. And so they booked A, who actually, it turns out I know the guy. They booked A. He recorded it, submitted it. And the client's like, oh, I didn't want that guy. I wanted the other guy, me.
Oh, how funny is that?
So I'm like, oh, crap. So I messaged both of the studios and I said, okay, first one that responds is the one I book. So I found one, and so I had to drive an hour to Kihei in Maui.
I know where that is.
Yep. And I go to the recording studio, and of course the guy that runs it, born in Lakewood, New Jersey.
Holy shit, talk about a small world,
I
right?
know. And that's like a town or 2 away from Long Branch, New Jersey, where I was born.
That's
so
funny.
that was just a bizarre coincidence. So I was able to record it, and now it's airing on the Ellen Show like this week. So it's kind of crazy.
Now, it was a commercial?
Yeah, for Green Dot Bank. So
Green Dot Bank.
The extreme bank.
Oh, okay.
It's very, well, they're excited about it.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's one of those, it's one of the first, prepaid debit cards. If you go to, a CVS or a Walgreens and you see that, rack of gift cards, you'll see a Green Dot Bank debit card there.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I did that out of the blue.
How fun is that?
So that's why I'm never allowed to go anywhere.
No, but you should go more often.
Well, yeah, because then I'll book more stuff. Right? So, that's true. Yeah.
Where'd you stay in Maui?
We stayed in Kapalua.
Yep.
So, that's all the way on the northwest tip. Mm-hmm. And we, Marnie did her homework. She was born in Oahu, but she's been to Maui once or twice, but she did her homework on where we should go and what we would do and all that stuff. And so, of course, you know about Haleakala. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for those of you who don't know Haleakala, it's basically it's an extinct volcano, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's this giant crater, and it's very high in the air above the clouds. So and apparently, if you watch the sunrise there, it will change your life. So we got there on a Saturday. We got tickets for Monday to go up there and watch the sunrise.
It's cold.
Yes. So we packed. we packed accordingly. So it's from New York City. It's a 10 and a half hour, 11-hour flight. Mm-hmm. And then there's a 6-hour time difference. Mm-hmm. So the jet lag, as you know, is terrible. All kinds of weird. It's horrible. So we figured, let's do it early in the trip. So we're still getting up early anyway, because to get there for the sunrise, we set our alarm for 2 a.m.
I was going to say, you got to leave at 3, right?
Yeah. So we set the alarm for 2, left at 3. We were going to leave at 3. We set the alarm for 2. We both woke up at 1:30, and she's trying to convince me that I don't want to go. And I'm like, do you want to just roll back over and go to bed? She's like, yeah. Oh. So we rolled back over and went to bed. Fine. So a couple days later, she's like, well, why don't we just go during the day? I'm like, okay, we'll go during the day. No problem. I have a rental car. So it's about 2-hour drive. So we get there, and all the highways in Maui start with a 3.
Yeah.
So we're like 36, 37, and then I look at the GPS, and it's like zigzag, 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 because it's like all these switchbacks while you're going up the mountain.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. And if you know, it's all wooded, and there's like houses and little cafes and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is nice.
People on the side selling banana bread and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
Exactly. Yep. And then at one point, I made this left turn, and it was all I saw was road, guardrail, nothing. And the clouds were at your eyeballs. And that's when I had the panic attack.
That's when the panic set in.
That's when the panic set in. Now, the reason why the panic set in is because about 15 years ago, I got a really bad ear infection. And before that, I had no problem with heights.
Oh, okay.
After that, now I have a problem with heights.
Now, because of it, now you panic because you think something's going to happen to your ears, or you're like me where you just get shaky on your feet. And
Vertigo. Straight up vertigo.
Okay.
I developed vertigo as a result of this ear infection. So if I'm on if I'm on a second floor balcony, I get a little twitchy now.
Okay.
Before that, no problems with heights. So once I saw that, oh my God, this is going to be a Wile E. Coyote thing where I'm going to fall off and then my head will follow and I'm going to just crash into a million pieces. I'm like, I can't do this. So
and the little thing of smoke,
Exactly. What is it? Wait, let me see if we can. Like that.
Exactly.
That's what I'm imagining. So as soon as we get clear of that turn and we can pull over, I'm like, babe, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't do this. She's like, okay, no problem. It's okay. She's like, there's a lavender farm about halfway down. Let's go to the lavender farm. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we get down. We call that moment panic at 6,000 feet. Because that's roughly the elevation where I lost my shit. And it was funny as soon as it was over. It was funny. You know what I mean? But in the moment, I'm just like, nope.
Moving on.
So we went to the lavender farm, which was gorgeous. I don't know if you've been there.
Never been there. No.
It's amazing. Okay. It's gorgeous. It's this outdoor botanical garden with lavender, and if you look, the view, it's astounding because you can see the North Shore and the South Shore at the same time.
Whoa.
It's drop dead gorgeous. So next time you go to Maui, I strongly recommend you check out the lavender farm.
Okay.
We went there. We went to Lahaina. a few times,
Yep,
which is
Lahaina's,
that's the place to go. Front Street, all the great food.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's where I would stay most of the time.
Oh, you stay in Lahaina?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. Did you go to Big Beach and Small Beach and the volcanic fields and all that?
Is that Hana on the other side, on the east
fuck
side?
that, man. Road to Hana. Did you do that?
I talked her out of it.
Good for you.
Because I'm like,
Congratulations.
I hear it's like 3-4 hours, and it's just like it's like Jumanji.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you get to the top, and it's extremely anticlimactic. We got to the top, and I was like, all right, so this is a break, and we're going somewhere else, right? They're like, nope, this is it. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
yeah.
I'm like car sick because I'm in the back of this SUV. And
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm like, babe, I really feel uncomfortable driving a car that I've never driven before on these potentially deadly roads for a very, very long time. And she's like, okay, there's a lot of other things to do.
So many other things.
Yeah, so that's the only time I was like, that's the one thing I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing that. We did everything. We did everything else we had on the list. I think we checked all the boxes except for going to the top of Haleakala.
Okay.
But next time we go, I think I'd be okay with getting in the shuttle and have somebody else drive.
And then take bicycles down.
And then take the bicycles down.
Yeah.
I hear that's amazing.
super fun.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, that's super
Cool.
fun. Now, did you do any like water sports, or did you get?
No,
Where were you swimming, or any swimming?
The resort we stayed at had a great pool, and we just were at the pool the whole time. Here's the
What? You're in
thing.
Hawaii.
Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
All right.
The problem is that it was 90 flipping degrees, and the trade winds were non-existent. It was scorching hot every day that we were there. And the weather report, we were watching the news, they're like, yeah, this is the time of year that the trade winds die down, but in a week or so they come back up and everything's okay. So we were like roasting every day. And I am a pasty bastard.
Yeah.
I am Casper the Pasty Ghost. I burn, I peel, I'm pale. That's the cycle.
Repeat.
Burn, peel, pale. Burn, peel, pale. That's what I did. It's also one of my voiceover warm-up exercises. Burn, peel, pale. Burn, peel, pale. See, and I screwed it up already. Oh crap. So it was just too damn hot. It was just too hot. So we walked on the beach a lot. We went hiking. We went to the Dragon's Teeth. We did that trail. That was great. And we hit the pool a lot, but we didn't actually do the actual bathing suit swim in the ocean.
Oh man,
thing.
There's a place called Big Beach.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy cool. The waves are huge, but like you can get out there and swim in it. Obviously, salt water, so a little more buoyant.
Yep.
I like that part.
Me too.
And then down the road a little bit from that is what they call the lava fields. Where obviously it's all volcanic.
Yep.
And it looks like somebody plowed through volcanic eruption. 10,000 years ago. So you're driving, and on both sides of you, is higher than your car, is black volcanic rock. And there's some trees and stuff, but it's very prevalent in front of you. It's just cool. It's just really neat. And then the draw is at the end, you go out at low tide, and because of the lava and all that, these tide pools still have water in them, and there's things in them from the high tide.
Oh, cool.
So you go down there and you check everything out. And,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's just kind of cool.
Where's Big Beach?
Cool.
I know everything.
It's been years since I've been there, so
I can find it. I mean, Marnie, I know she did her due diligence, and I know we mentioned that. We just didn't get to. That's one of the few things we didn't get to.
And you said there was no trade wind, so the surfing wasn't.
I don't think the surfing was great either. I mean, we saw people surfing every day,
especially on the North Shore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mama's Fish House.
We didn't go to Mama's Fish House. We ate at Roy's.
Yep,
that was like our dinner. Our big
Duke's
our
is
big
pretty good.
We ate at Lahaina Pizza.
Yeah.
We ate at the Monkey Pod.
Oh, yep.
Which is great because we went to the Monkey Pod in Oahu. So best Mai Tais ever at the Monkey Pod Kitchen.
How about Cheeseburgers in Paradise?
We did not go to Cheeseburgers in Paradise, but we did go to Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Okay.
We did go to Bubba. I'm like, really? I've never been to one. I'm like, we're going all the way to Hawaii and we're going to Bubba Gump. She's like, trust me.
It's good.
Have the coconut shrimp, and then we get to watch the sea turtles from our table. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, and we did, and that was amazing.
Yeah, the deck that they have out there is really cool.
It was was incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, got our shave ice. Of course. And my wife loves the Dole Whip. That's like a childhood treat.
Okay.
So we got there, we did that.
Did you see that big tree in Lahaina with the
banyan that takes up the whole block? Yep, we were there.
We were
there.
Really neat.
Oh my God, it's crazy. That banyan tree takes up an entire block.
And it's crazy that those branches, like, they're like 5 feet above the ground, parallel with the ground forever, and then go back up. And it's like, how the hell's that even? How's that even standing?
I don't know the physics of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but it is amazing.
And they're like, don't climb on it.
Well,
could you imagine people? They would
destroy the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be terrible. But yes, everybody seemed to be considerate, honoring it. So we did do a Oahu for a couple of days, and then we flew home.
Oh, okay.
So she could kind of get to her stomping grounds, and we ran around Waikiki for a few days.
Sure.
That was awesome. You've been to Waikiki, yeah?
Like kind of passing through. I didn't. It was like a bouncing off point. I didn't get to spend any real time there.
It's a lot of fun.
Is it?
Oh yeah. We're foodies, so it's always about the food.
Yeah.
So there's a mall called Ala Moana, and there's a Japanese food court. It's like hardcore Japanese food court where like everything's in Japanese, and there's a billion stalls. And she's like, "Got to get my fried octopus balls." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah.
Oh, and I had it. It was delicious.
Oh, I was just going to ask you.
Best tempura I've ever had at a tempura platter. The best one I've ever had, hands down.
Yeah, but look how authentic that is. So
it's totally authentic. So so we got to get
one thing I did notice on the Big Island. Big Island?
We didn't go to the Big Island.
Okay,
we were just Maui and Oahu. But I haven't been.
The homeless.
Yeah, that's a major issue in Oahu, especially Honolulu and Waikiki. There's homeless all over the place.
The one thing I noticed right away is, you know how an overpass, obviously it rises from the ground to go overpass. For as long as overpass would go until it was like maybe 10, 12 feet above the ground, they had it boarded off. And then boarded off across and over. So this is all contained.
Yep.
And they had doors in it. People are coming in and out like it was a fucking hotel.
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of ingenious, but could you imagine the living conditions in that thing?
I'd rather not think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a major issue in Hawaii. I've been in Denver. Last time I was in Denver, there's a major homeless problem. I live in the middle of New York City. In the past few years, the homeless population has increased noticeably.
My buddy, like I said, it was just out here. He lives in Colorado Springs, and he said once marijuana became legal in Colorado, the homeless population skyrocketed.
Really?
Yep. People from all over the country piled into Colorado to smoke weed legally. Now they're homeless. He says Colorado Springs, because when I was there, it was super clean, nice. Of course, you had a couple of homeless dudes walking around, But he said now it looks like New York City, where they're laying on the street or laying on the sidewalks and and they point it to the marijuana industry, but I don't know how.
I don't know if there's
else?
I don't know if there's a correlation.
Yeah, and I don't know what else would drive it because the weather is great, but I mean to have a spike in it, they're saying the spike came the same time, so it was. That's why.
So there may be it may be a coincidence, or it may not.
Yeah.
No.
But then in the Big Island, because we stopped, we went to Pearl Harbor.
Oh, okay.
So we're there, and we got there real late at night, and we're going to Pearl Harbor the next day. And we go to a bar, have some dinner, and we're watching a game and stuff. When we came out at like 1 a.m, and we literally had to walk in the street. Because the grass and the sidewalk was physically filled with homeless people sleeping.
Wow!
You couldn't physically walk down the sidewalk.
Holy cow!
And I was like, "What the?"
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've driven through Honolulu a few times, and all the parks are filled with tents.
Oh, really?
Filled with tents. Yep.
Kind of takes away the meaning of the park for people to go enjoy it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
Wish I had the answer to that.
Yeah, but I knew a guy in Colorado Springs. He was homeless by choice.
Really?
Yep. He did it. So he worked at McDonald's full time, and obviously got paid. But he slept on the streets, and once in a while in the winter, when he felt like it, he got a hotel room, to stay warm. And he would save up whenever he felt like leaving. He would just be a vagabond, and then come back, and just that's how he lived.
Did he explain why he would do that?
He just said that's what I choose to do.
Huh. Interesting. A long time ago, before I was doing voiceovers full time, I was pursuing the acting thing, and I was an extra in a movie called Everything's Jake, starring Ernie Hudson.
What year was that?
2000, 2001.
Okay.
So almost 20 years ago. So Ernie Hudson, he starred in it, and I believe he wrote it, directed it, produced it. It was his own show. It was his own movie. I was in an extra in one scene that I think didn't even make it into the film, but whatever, because I've seen the movie once and I did not see myself in it in the scene I thought I was in. I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. But anyway, it's about an author who pretends to be homeless for a few weeks so he can do research on his book. And Ernie Hudson plays Jake, who is a homeless guy who Jake doesn't know he's an author. He doesn't, like a millionaire author. He doesn't find out till later in the movie that he's living on the street, as part of a research his book. And what's interesting is that after that, so they have a huge fight and they're not friends anymore. And, because he tries to find him and he can't find him. But he finds out later on that Ernie Hudson has like $10,000 saved up under like a sewer grating or something like that. And once in a while he'll fish it out and get something to it. And like the person you mentioned, he chose to live on the streets. He chose to be homeless. I can't speak to what the moral of it is, or if there's a tale, if it's an allegory. I can't speak to it, but it's just, and clearly, people do it.
Yeah, yeah. So, or how about the guys, and ladies too, I imagine, but they always portray it, the guys doing it at Christmas time or even during the regular season or year, panhandling. Mm-hmm. They park their Mercedes, get in the trunk and put on a bunch of shitty clothes, go stand on the corner and panhandle. And then at Christmas time, they put a suit on and ring a bell and have
I have no idea. I have no idea if that's true. It'd be very fascinating exercise sociologically. Like, why would somebody do something like that? Stephen King wrote a short story about a guy that would do that, and he would pretend to be blind to the point that he would actually be blind in the middle of the day. And then he would kind of he would just based
Stephen
on
King. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he would kind of slowly regain his sight, and then change his clothes and go home and make hundreds of dollars in a day. So clearly this concept has been it's been explored.
Yeah.
It's been explored. So, yeah.
What time? How are we doing on time?
I don't know. What do we got on time here?
Oh, well, what do you got? 8 something. We got.
I got to wrap up at like 8 o'clock.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming down, man.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I didn't know you moved to New York, so I really appreciate you taking the train over. And
oh no, it was no problem at all.
About 20? No,
it was 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, no, it was no problem at all. I mean, I literally live a block away from Penn Station, so it's
really nice.
About easy as it can possibly be. So, and you live in Montclair, which you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a train station.
Yeah,
so
what's
they're
it,
everywhere.
4? I think.
I think 4. At least
now?
4.
Yeah,
at least 4.
You guys like living in Manhattan?
I love it. I mean, I was born and raised in New Jersey. Marnie, born and raised in Hawaii. She's been living in New York City for about 25 years. And I moved into her apartment.
I was going to ask.
Because it's logistically, it's like perfect. So when we went on our I don't remember which date it was, but we went to her neighborhood. I'm like, I know this neighborhood. I go to recording studios here all the time. And she's just a few minute walk away from the Flower District. So I'm like, so we were thinking about should we get a new place together? And people always make their suggestions. Oh, if you can't move into her place, you got to get a new place.
You get your own place.
Got to get your own place. And I'm like, yeah, but I like her place and I like where it is. So I'm moving in, and that was that. So we've been there for like a year and a half now. I love it. She loves it.
Good.
We're like right by Hudson Yards, which I don't know if you been to Hudson Yards.
Not yet.
It's crazy. You got to go there.
What do they call that? The honeycomb?
The Vessel.
Vessel.
Yeah.
Sorry. Vessel.
Yep. And the restaurants are great. I recommend Little Spain. There's a thing called Mercado Little Spain, which is like in the lower, like the ground floor of the big mall that's right there that opens up into the Vessel. And there's like 1 million stalls churros and empanadas and all this Spanish cuisine.
So that little spot is called Little Spain?
Yeah, it's like on the walls, painted all the place. Mercado Little Spain.
Oh,
so
that'd be fun.
I strongly recommend it.
Good business, huh?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's great business. The place is always packed. There's like high-end wine bars, and then there's like little stands where you can get, a little thing of potatoes or whatever and coffee and stuff. It's really, really cool. So I recommend that you give that a shot.
I was reading an article about that place, and it's like completely self-sufficient.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they said the whole power on the northeast coast could go out, and that place would still be lit up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is great. That is crazy.
Have you been to the top yet?
Of the vessel?
No, of the actual the one building.
The observation deck I don't think has opened up yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know how I'd feel about going that
I was
up
gonna
there
say,
with
with
my
your
vertigo.
Yeah.
Because there's also a portion of it where the thing is glass, so you can like stand on it and there's like
I'd
nothing
be
under
all
you.
over that and be pissing myself the whole time.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. But I would do it.
Bring some Depends.
You know that 32 feet is the magic number. If you can get above 32 feet, you're not afraid of heights.
Oh.
That's like a barometer.
32 feet? Interesting.
32 feet.
I didn't know that. When you said 32 feet, I thought, I think that's terminal velocity, falling 32 feet per second. That's what I thought you were going to talk about.
Is that really terminal velocity?
I think so.
Get out of here.
Maybe.
How coincidence would that be?
If you Google it, you'll ask what's terminal velocity.
Well, the definition of terminal velocity is you're not going to gain any more speed.
That's what. Yeah. So
right?
That's, I think the max is 32 feet per second, at least on Earth. In all things being equal, gravity and all that stuff, because gravity is stronger in other parts of the planet and all that nonsense.
Speaking of that, you see that YouTube video? They have like this silo that they can pull all the air out of. They can like
create a vacuum.
Right.
Okay.
And so they have a feather and a bowling ball. Mm-hmm. And of course there's atmosphere in it. Of course the bowling ball goes crashing way down. Mm-hmm. But when they make it a vacuum, they fall at the same speed.
Yes.
I was completely fascinated by that. I was just like, never thought of it that way.
Yes. I've heard about that feather bowling ball thing. I think Galileo did some kind of experiment throwing things off the Tower of Pisa, and they fell at the same rate, even though one was heavier than the other one, or something like that.
Yeah, because now that you're talking with like being in the same atmosphere and
exactly, wind resistance is all that stuff being equal.
So that being said, though, like a human body has a different terminal. Everything has its own terminal velocity.
I don't know. I don't know if that's people or if that's all objects. I'm not really sure. But
well, you think a Abrams tank would fall faster than we would through the air, right?
I would like to. That sounds about right. I don't know if that's true.
That's fun. I love stuff like that. But I heard that 32 feet. If you get above 32 feet. Mm-hmm. And look down and see how you feel, that's a great barometer if you're scared of heights or not.
Huh. It's interesting because when we were at the lavender farm and I could see, basically all of Maui, it didn't bother me at all. But it wasn't like a straight drop.
Right.
So I'll have to experiment.
What about seasickness?
No, I don't really have a problem with seasickness at all.
Okay.
Nope, that doesn't bother me.
Yep.
I love boats. Boats are awesome. Any excuse to use the New York ferry, I'm in.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
You ever been on a cruise?
No. It's strangely enough, my wife, who was born and raised in Hawaii, hates boats.
Jeez, I wonder why.
I don't know. But you know what? I have no interest in cruises. They're just basically they're these giant boats where you eat and could potentially contract some horrible illness. That's horribly jaded, but that's just what I think. It's like an overpriced buffet and possible get sick.
Well, they eat and shit, and that's all you do on a boat.
You see, I have no interest, and I love doing both of those things, but just not for that amount of money. And the fact
with all those people around.
Yeah, exactly. So now I have no interest in cruises.
And I've been when I was in Maui, obviously the cruise ships come in.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sunset cruises, the fishing cruises, the
it's
whale
like
watching
you're getting
cruises.
Invading. It's like you're getting invaded by a small country. When everybody from the cruise ship lands on the shore, it's like you're getting invaded by a small country. You're like, this is really nice around here. All these people
they're establishing a beachhead. Because they're just desperate to get off the damn boat.
Yeah. I used to spend my time in Maui in January and watching the whales and doing all that. That was super cool.
Nice.
Yeah. You find out really quick how big you are in the universe when you see that damn animal. Whew. You're like, okay, I get it. I get it. I'm a fly.
Right.
You know?
You're a speck of dust.
Yeah.
I went whale watching once, but there were no whales, so we called it whale-free watching.
Whale-free.
Whale-free whale watching. But we saw dolphins. That was actually cool, riding along the side of the boat.
Yeah, they chase you along.
Yeah, and watching voiceover talent get sick. So
Do what now?
It was a field trip. I was at a voiceover conference, and it was like a little field trip outing. So it was like 100 voice talents on this boat going whale watching, and everybody in the back of the boat was throwing up, and everybody in the front of the boat was having a grand old time. So
split right down the middle, huh?
it was split right down the middle. So I found myself in the back at first. And I'm like, my God, everyone's miserable over here. I'm going to the front, and I go to the front, and everyone's like, woohoo, this is great. I'm like, guys, it's like fucking Saving Private Ryan back there. They're like, well, good thing you're with us. I'm like, yeah, whoop.
Well,
so
let's go.
It was fun.
All right, so question.
Yes, sir.
Your favorite voice to do?
Mine.
Yours.
Yes.
Do you have one that like you produce that you really enjoy doing? Other than your voice, like do you have like a character voice?
You know, it's funny. The vast majority of the work that I do sounds like me, but a little bit more. I call it Tom Plus.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, hi, welcome to this website. Here we're going to learn about this, this, and this. So like that's my voiceover. That's like my voiceover voice like 90% of the time.
That's your sales voice.
That's my sales voice.
So when I was with Coca-Cola, we were in cubicles and we could hear. We didn't spend a lot of time in the office, but when we were all in the office, somebody be on the phone, they hang up and they're like, dude, your sales voice is killing me.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like. You're like,
no, it's my
we
sales
sitting
voice.
Here talking.
Thank you for calling Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
For customer service, press 1. Say habla español, número 2. That sort of stuff.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but I do accents and I do character voices and stuff like that once in a while. But I get to do my old man once in a while. Sound like an old coot.
Old coot. I heard that a bit.
Stuff like that. But I don't do a whole lot of that stuff. Most of it is they just want me, warm, engaging, friendly guy next door. I'm going to teach you about ankylosing spondylitis, which I still can't spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, then with the jobs that you've been doing it for 20 plus years, on both sides of the scale, your smallest job and your most like feather in your hat job.
Okay. Let's try smallest job. That'll be the hardest one. Smallest jobs.
Or one that you just like, I'm just going to do this because whatever.
Well, I try not to phone anything in. Let's see. I've done a lot of student stuff. I do the occasional nonprofit thing. Not that I've done this, but there's some creepy guy that's been circulating for years, and he tries to get female voice talent to sneeze.
Is there like a fetish that he has?
Yes, he has a sneezing fetish. I'm not kidding. There's a guy out
creepy.
there, and every once in a while, I'll be in like on a Facebook voiceover group and be like, someone fell for it again.
No shit.
They're like, so this guy sent me a casting notice and then called me and asked me if I could sneeze on the phone for him. We're like, oh, dude, it's that guy.
No way.
Not kidding.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
That's
it's
hard. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah. So feather in the cap. The Danielle Steele audiobook was nice. I was in Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2, the video games.
No shit.
Those were pretty cool.
What'd you do? What voice were you on that?
Did you play the games?
No.
Okay. Red Dead Redemption 2, I was a stagecoach driver, and then Red Dead Redemption 1, I played a marshal, and I got to say things like, this place is deader than a side of bacon. Fun stuff like that.
So, years ago, when that kind of first shooter game started, we were on the computer.
Yes.
So I was in Colorado. My buddy was in upstate New York, where I'm from, and we had a buddy that works for Walt Disney down in Florida. And my time, 6 p.m. on Sunday, we would all get on the computer, run around, shoot each other, right?
Yeah.
Old school graphics. This is years and years ago. But the fun part was you could buy voiceover packs. And I had Johnny Bravo.
Do the monkey with me. I love Johnny Bravo.
You want to see me comb my hair really fast?
Hang on, baby. Come here.
So every time you got shot, you heard something like that.
oh, I got it in the spleen.
Yeah,
You know, or whatever. I love that. Other feather in the cap, I was the voice of all the Madballs. Remember Madballs when we were in the 90s? Those are like gross, like they're about the size of a softball. They had like a gross face on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So they re-released the product line a couple years ago. So they did a whole bunch of like dozens of YouTube videos. So I got to play every single Madball in every single cartoon. So
And you just did different voice?
just did different voices for every single one of them.
No shit. So
That was fun.
I can imagine. So you had like Grumpy and like Scary and
Yeah, Skullface is trying to take over the world, and Dustbrain, man, he's like a mummy, and like he likes to eat tacos and fart.
That is so fun.
So
dude.
from just like a performance
That's
thing,
fun.
that was my feather in the cap. But the thing that I'm really proud of is a game came out a couple years ago called Light Seekers. So it's a video game and it's a trading card game and it's an action figure. And the action figure has a Bluetooth. So you can play the video game, but have the action figure turned on, and like you'll put a weapon in his hand and be like, dude, this is just what I need. And so I had to record thousands and thousands of lines so it would know what's going on in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I smell Umbron, which was like the bad monsters.
Yeah,
so it was like, this is how you'd anytime you put like a weapon in his hand or a shield or whatever,
he'd have a line.
For it. And you could literally pick him up and be like, whoa, put me down, dude. So like, because the Bluetooth and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you left him alone long enough, he'd start like,
he'd
start snoring. Yeah.
How fun would that?
That was amazing. That was, that was a brutal couple of recording sessions because I had thousands and thousands of lines to record to react to everything that was going on in the game.
Now, would that would be like recording a navigation system.
Kind of.
Right?
Kind of, yeah.
You probably have a list in front of you and you just need to go through, but
level 1. Level 2, level 3,
yeah, but like,
level 4, like over and over and over again.
No shit.
Yeah. And that was my Jax the Tyrax. That was my character. So like it was just taxing.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Jax was taxing. But yeah, those are like the big ones that I'm like really proud of. But I'm cool. Thrilled to do every time I do a voiceover. I'm like over the moon because they're like, wait a minute, I'm a narcissist masochist. You're paying me so I can talk out loud. I'm like, yes. So I'm like, I'm thrilled to do it. And like I said, I'm a storyteller at heart. So any opportunity I get to do. To tell a story, no matter what it is, if it's an audiobook or Uncle Bob's used car lot, doesn't matter. I'm still telling a story. So
sure.
I still get to have fun.
Now, is there something that you'll turn down?
Yes.
Do you have? I mean, obviously you have morals, but or ethics. Sorry.
Yes. Well, hopefully I have both. Hopefully. I mean, there's a.
Have you ever turned somebody call you and you're like, no, I'm not doing that?
Many, many times.
Oh, okay.
Many, many times. I mean, well, for money, because it's not like, no, that's not enough. It's like, but there's an industry standard, and if I take that rate, that means it's harder for everybody else to earn a living wage. So, we try to make sure we charge rates that are industry standard that reflects our value.
Sure.
I've never turned down anything that was like sexual. Oh, okay. So a couple years ago, there's a website called Gig Salad.
Yep, I know that.
You know the site. Okay.
Yep.
And, it's for like actors, singers, performers, musicians, but there's also voice talent. And I had a profile on there and someone inquired about my availability for a certain gig. And it said, needs to portray a college professor with a British accent. I'm like, okay, I do British accents all the time, no problem. So they called me and said, hey, we'd like to talk to you about the project. And they said, I said, okay, what does this entail? Well, it entails you talking to the parents of a college student and telling them that their daughter is doing fine in school. I'm like, oh, okay, so is this like a human resources thing? Is it like a role playing or anything? No, it's an actual phone call. I'm like, okay, so I'm pretending to be the professor and these people are pretending to be parents. No, these are actual parents. I'm like, wait a minute, let me make sure I understand this. You want me to pretend to be a college professor, call actual parents of an actual college student, and tell them that their daughter is doing fine in school? Yes.
Holy, what?
Yes. And I'm like,
what would be the reason for that?
Well, that's the question. So I said, is this legal? And she's like, well, are you willing to do this? And I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing this. She's like, okay, and hung up on me. So I talked to a friend of mine who's a lawyer. I said, if I had done that, would have that been fraud? Would I have been committing fraud? And he said that fraud is all about intent. So what was the intent? Now, is there a college student who's not doing well in school and their parents are giving her a hard time? So she went to Gig Salad and, to hire a voice talent for $50 to lie for her? Okay, that's a little unethical on her part. So, but what if that daughter has been kidnapped and is stuck in human trafficking, and the parents think that she's in school, and so they have these phone calls to have the parents think? Or what if the kid dropped out of college and just wants to get the money from the parents and living whatever life she's living? So yeah. Crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. See, I get. Yeah. Wow.
Who'd have thought? It would have never occurred to me in a billion years that anyone would do something like that. But when confronted with it, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who knows what? So I think I flagged it. I think I reported it to Gig Salad, but I don't know what happened after that, because who knows what could be where this daughter could be or what her situation is.
Wow.
So yeah, that's weird stuff, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a positive way.
No, but yeah, that's an example of something that I have turned down.
Wow. And then anything like I want to say legit, like a legit commercial or legit for like a website or a promotion, you're like, I just don't feel like comfortable doing that. Like my wife, when she was with a website company, somebody reached out to them to build a website for their big game hunting safari, quote unquote, in Africa, and they're like, we're not into that, so we're not going to help you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So you ever something like that?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've never had to do anything that seemed religiously weird. I don't really do political spots, so that comes up a lot. Where you are on the political spectrum and how comfortable you are doing an issue ad or an election ad for someone whose political beliefs don't line up with yours. And I have a lot of friends that will say, I only do Republican stuff, I only do Democrat stuff, or I'll do both.
Yeah.
I don't really do political spots, so that's never come up for me. I honestly, beside that really bizarre, will you pretend to be a professor? That's definitely the weirdest, but I don't think I've had too many that have. So usually if I turn down a gig, it's usually because the rate isn't industry standard, or you just kind of get a gut feeling that, I don't know about this guy or girl. I don't know if they're actually going to pay me, or are they going to micromanage me? This one thing I have learned in the voiceover industry is that the less they're willing to pay, the more demanding they are.
Absolutely.
It happens every single time.
Yep.
You know that with clients working through your production companies over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lower the budget, the bigger the pain.
Pain, yes. Yep.
Without
if
question.
You're like, hey, it's this much. Okay, who do I pay? You're like, whoo, I'll take it. Because they're going to be like, we hired you. You're a professional.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Usually you can tell. Also, if they're not afraid to talk about money, if they're not to explain if they're ready to say, this is my budget, what can we do with this budget? That is always a good sign too, because that way they're not playing games with you. They're not trying to. This isn't a bazaar in the Middle East. I'm not trying to guess with you, haggle.
Yeah.
I don't like to do.
You're
that.
busy. I'm busy. What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like this is the rate structure. I have some wiggle room with this and this. I always like to say I'm happy to work with your client's budget within reason.
Yeah.
It's the within reason part. That's the key.
Absolutely.
And often it's okay, and often it's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't work for that rate. Good luck finding. Because I'll be like, oh, they're shopping in the wrong aisle.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're on Fifth Ave when they should be over at Walmart.
Denny's, or Walmart or whatever. Yeah.
What's on the table for you? Got a big job coming up?
Let's see. Well, now that this was going to the Baltimore Comic Con and going to Maui. Those are my big travel days are over for the year. I've always got speaking engagements. I do speak at voiceover conferences and stuff like that.
Okay.
The next big one is actually in Vegas next year in January.
Oh, fun.
It kind of works out great.
Here
We're going to go there.
Slot machine.
Woohoo! We're going to go there for our anniversary. And while we're there, I have a friend who runs a voiceover studio. So I'll be speaking there. And I'll be speaking at Voiceover Atlanta next year and the Mid-Atlantic Voiceover Conference next year. So just lots of voiceovery stuff, and we'll be doing a few Comic Cons next year to promote my comic book, Agent 122. So right now it's resting, fighting off the conference crud, as we call it. And I've got students that have been waiting on me since I've been away.
Cool.
That are waiting on me to kind of work on their
Teaching's
demos.
Fun.
I do love teaching. My parents were teachers. So
it's in the blood.
It's kind of in the blood. My mom would always be like, when you go to Montclair, get your teacher cert. I'm like, no, I'm going to be an actor. And then a few years later, after college, I find myself being a corporate trainer for Bennigan's of all places.
Wow.
I opened the first Bennigan's in England, and got to do some crazy stuff traveling around the country.
That was a feather in your hat at that time, right?
Damn right it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now I coach regularly and I speak regularly, and I just really like to do it because I like to spare people all the crap that I went through of trying to figure out how to do this business, how to be a voice talent.
Sure.
So everything that I screwed up, I've learned from it, and now I pass it along so other people don't have to go through the pains that I went through when I was trying to get my career going.
And no big jobs coming up? Like voiceover?
Well, that's the thing. Most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing from one day to the next. So I'll wake up in the morning, there'll be an email from a client in Amsterdam, and I'll have a 2-minute explainer video. I'll record it, stick it in a Dropbox, invoice them, and I'm done. So I don't have much in the way of campaigns. I don't do a lot of campaigns. Mostly I have a lot of regular clients that I work with all the time in Europe and in New York and in other parts of the United States. But no, nothing. I mean, like I said, you can hear me on the Ellen Show and the Kelly Clarkson Show right now for the next few days, and then that runs its course.
Well, this episode won't come out. That will be long gone.
So you're going to miss it. Well, hopefully by the time this airs, I'll have something else to share.
Yeah, there you go. I'll put your website in the show notes. And
that'll be awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Where can people find you? You got website?
I got multiple websites. Well, there's TomDheere.com, which is the voiceover website. Then there's VOstrategist.com. So VOstrategist.com. So if you want to learn how to be a voice talent, but you don't know where to start, there's a page on my website that answers a lot of those questions.
Cool.
And if you want to learn about the marketing or business part of it, I do the grown-up stuff. And then my comic book website, agent122.com, which is one of the world's only digitally painted comic books. Every single panel is done in the computer.
I have to check that out.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'll jump on there and check it out.
Cool, thanks.
All right, dude. Thanks for coming down.
Dude, thanks for having me. This was fun.
See you later.
Later.
Always shenanigans on the show when you got an uber talented guy like Tom on. Really enjoyed having him. Jump over to his, he's got a couple websites. They're both in the show notes. One is for his comic book. That was really interesting to look over. Also his website, if you're interested to see what other work he does. And as you're jumping around, jump over to YouTube, key in Walt's Kitchen Table. You're going to see my smiling face. Hit the subscribe button. Let me say that one again. Subscribe button. That way you can stay hooked up. Also, Stitcher and Spotify under the same names, Walt's Kitchen Table. Don't forget to Rishi, liverishi.com. Jump on this CBD train and enjoy the ride. Use the code word TABLE. Check out. See how much we appreciate your support. You guys, anybody out there want to join me at the table for some conversation, some bullshitting, or you got a cool story to tell? I think everybody has a story. But you want to share it? Would love to have you. Best place to get a hold of me is Instagram, WKT Podcast. Website, waltskitchentable.com. And, of course, Facebook, Walt's Kitchen Table. So, any of those would work. Thanks, everybody. Much love.